You're watching Behind the Screens. Grab some popcorn, fill up a drink, and take a seat. Our feature presentation is about to begin.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you may be listening. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Behind the Screens. I'm Chris Chason, and joined as always is my co-host and best friend, Mike Lakeaway. Mike, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing very well today, Chris, and I thank you viewers once again for joining us on this episode of Behind the Screens.
Alright, so Halloween's over, but let's get past the spooks and get back to something familiar, right?
Exactly. We have even more episodes of Batman the Animated Series to talk about. As we begin into the second half of the series, we only have a few more of these sessions to go before we'll have to move on to something else. Can we do it?
It's us. I think we're good.
It's definitely us, which means we can definitely do it. We have 13 more episodes for you today, my friends, where we conclude the second season and begin the third season of Batman the Animated Series. Going into now with, shall we begin in episode 53?
Bring it.
All right, episode 53, Paging the Crime Doctor.
This is an interesting one.
Dr. Matthew Thorne, losing his medical license and forced into becoming the crime doctor by his older brother, crime boss Rupert Thorne. What a twist! Must perform a delicate surgery on Rupert. He can't do it alone, however, and kidnaps Dr. Leslie Tompkins to assist. Batman discovers Leslie's disappearance and rushes to track her down, and has an additional interest in Matthew because he was a medical school student alongside Leslie and Bruce's father, Thomas.
Well, this honestly feels like some kind of soap opera episode with some twists.
You want to know what's actually really funny about that? The guy playing Dr. Matthew Thorne is actually typecasted into being a doctor on soap operas.
Really?
It's just actually funny. He was played by the late Joseph Campanella, who was a massive guy playing a doctor on shows like Mannix, The Days of Our Lives, The Brave, The Bold and the Beautiful. This guy was on a bunch of soap operas back in the day.
And he was a doctor?
Yeah, see? His Wikipedia picture is a doctor in uniform.
Oh, wow. Wait, was one of those shows General Hospital?
I'll do a quick search on Wikipedia, but I'm not too sure. I mean, he was on... wait a minute. This is actually really funny that I'm just finding out. He played another doctor on another superhero animated series.
Uh-oh.
He was the voice actor of Dr. Kirk Connors, a.k.a. the Lizard, on Spider-Man the Animated Series.
What?
Which is actually really funny. Oh my god.
Did you look at that?
We honestly didn't know about that because we haven't seen that series yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be getting around to it.
Yeah, but with what this episode has, it's okay.
Yeah, I definitely like it, even though it's not really a Batman episode, because Batman definitely takes a back seat to all the drama that's going on, honestly.
Which is sort of a nice change of pace when you think about it.
Yeah.
But when Batman's not in the spotlight, usually it's on, a way better known villain, not the brother of a crime boss.
Yes, however, it does offer a very nice character piece into the insight of what Gotham's crime family is going on, the intricate relationships that go on behind the scenes while the bigger name criminals threaten to blow up the city every Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because Tuesday's a perfect day for bombs. But anyway, but regardless, I do like that dichotomy here that Thorne's brother was a doctor and he knew Bruce's father.
I know, which is so freaking amazing when I took a look at this. Because when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of it, Bruce Wayne never really knew his parents. The only thing he did know of them was, his father had a mustache, his mother wore pearls, they liked to walk down alleys,
I see where you're going, and I'm going to stop you right there.
Because the only image he ever really has of them is their final moments. Aside from that, the only thing he ever has to remember them by are the house they left him, the fortune and company they left him, and the people that knew them that, left them behind, because Bruce and Alfred weren't the only ones that were touched and destroyed by the death of the Waynes.
A lot of people were.
Exactly. It really just goes to show that one person never truly loses something, that one thing being lost is affected by everybody in some shape or another. And it really does show it, as we saw it in not only Dr. Leslie Tompkins, but now we see it in Rupert Thorne's brother as well.
Yeah.
And I really feel bad for the guy, honestly.
I know, but did the episode outright say or tell us like how he lost his medical license?
I can only assume it's because he was doing something that went against the medical code, and you know how doctors be, like one thing of malpractice, just like with fashion designers, if you miss one season, it's all over. It's a dog world out there, and he just got wrapped up in the wrong crowd, and he hates his brother for it. And I honestly, watching this episode, I'm very much certain he would have let his brother die for ruining his career if his men wasn't threatening to kill him first.
That's true.
I'm just saying, he has no reason other than to protect his own ass to save him.
Which brings up my major problem with this episode. It mentioned he did lose his medical license, but I kind of want to see why that happened. Maybe Rupert was the cause behind it, maybe some other factor, but as long as I saw how he lost his medical license and why he's doing this, like not just to help his family out, but other things like that, I feel like this episode I would have cut it a little more slack.
Yeah, but you can really feel Matthew's torturedness coming through. He doesn't want to hurt Leslie, who you can see he like appreciates very, very much for all their years studying together.
Exactly.
And it's just like, I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't forced to do it. But then, of course, thankfully, he comes back over to the side of good in the end.
Yeah.
And I love the ending of this episode. I so wish they went further with it, honestly, because when Matthew is in the interrogation room, Batman goes in as Bruce Wayne, asks him to tell him more about his father, and they don't have to say anything. The weight of their animated faces tells the entire story.
Yeah.
It just shows what's coming out of Matthew Thorne is going into Bruce Wayne, who will ever be eternally grateful to him. A guardian angel watching in the wings on both sides of the screen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
So I really would enjoy this episode, even though it's not a outright banger. I will say that it definitely has much more emotional weight to it than most side episodes would.
That is true. Yeah, and it kind of goes into my final thoughts of here. Like, the emotional weight of this episode is strong enough, but again, if you show a little more, more of the background of characters, that will get you more invested and make you want to really want to root for Matthew here.
Indeed, but then again, there's only so much story you can tell in 22 minutes.
That's true. Yeah.
So how would you finally say your thoughts about it?
How about I rate it more like?
Yes.
Well, I rate it as it's an alright episode, and I feel like if you're up for tension and this kind of stuff, it's your thing. But me personally, I'm on and off about it. I'm if it's good, it's good. If it's not bad, but I feel like it could be very much improved.
Yep.
So at best, I have to give Paging the Crime Doctor a 7.5.
Dang, okay. Personally, me, even though Rupert Thorne may not be my most favorite Batman villain, in fact, as we see as time goes on, the mob bosses of Gotham get less and less compelling with each story.
Yeah.
I do appreciate them taking the effort to expand on Rupert's family, his crime ways, his health, because the man is fat as hell. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah, again, he basically looks like Batman's Kingpin.
Oh my god, yeah, he totally does.
But he has more fat than muscle.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Fisk more than Rupert Thorne.
Yeah,
honestly.
Fisk is compelling. Yeah, best example, watch the Daredevil series on Netflix. That shows you how really good the Kingpin is.
Please do. Okay, but basically going back into it, I love the tension you saw in Rupert Thorne and his brother's relationship, Matthew Thorne's relationship with Leslie and Bruce. You could see there's a lot of history there that needed to be tapped, and Batman's interest in protecting not only his guardian mother, but essentially his guardian uncle, you could say.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I loved a lot of things about this. Even though it's not one of my tops, I would definitely declare it a good story, one I would happily watch again going through the entire Timverse. So I will happily give Paging the Crime Doctor a letter B ranking.
A B. Not bad.
Solid B. This man was in every show: Fantasy Island, Dallas, Days of Our Lives, Airwolf, the Brady Brides, Vegas, What Really Happened to the Class of 65. But not General Hospital. I can't find any of it here. So he was in every doctor show imaginable, possibly except General Hospital before he died. I mean, he was on an episode of one of the Star Trek shows.
I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world.
This dude was everywhere. Please go look up this man, Joseph Campanella, and watch his dramas. He did a fantastic job. Next up is, honestly, the DC shows of Batman, first expansion outside of the Batman mythos with episode 54, Zatanna.
Oh, yeah.
Written by the wonderful Paul Dini.
Oh, this should be interesting.
When the glamorous magician Zatanna is framed for a robbery during her magic act, Batman swings to her defense. The Zatanna is grateful, though a little puzzled, by the Dark Knight's commitment to prove her innocence. But the two heroes unite and use the skills of her father, Zatara, taught them to expose and combat the culprit, an evil illusionist named Montague Kane. Oh, really?
What kind of name is that?
A lame one.
Yep.
So let me just get it out of here. I love Zatanna as a DC character on many fronts.
Yeah, Zatanna is often considered to be one of the best female heroes of DC, and not just because she looks good.
Oh my god, dude, you always go to that defense. Whenever I go and slander Marvel's magic heroes, you always say, but you like Zatanna and Raven and all these other characters. Like, yeah, because they're interesting. I like not only their looks, their costumes, but their histories behind them.
Yeah,
honestly.
I do too, to be fair, I do too. I will admit, Zatanna's magical abilities are honestly second to none. She is a force to be reckoned with when saying the right spell, because all she needs is to say the whole sentence backwards, and boom, you got a spell.
Exactly, and she honestly can be able to convince me that magic is interesting to watch, because honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of magic, to be
Magician
honest.
Magic or
Any magic.
Good
Because I do find it enjoyable enough, but I find it enjoyable enough as going to church. You know, basically, kind of like the fact of the matter is you go in, you sit down, you stand, you sit, you stand, you sit, you clap, you give money, and then you go home. That's basically,
I guess that's
basically
an
the same
interesting
thing
comparison
about
to it, but whatever.
I was honestly really bedazzled to see that she is the daughter of a Golden Age magician hero.
Yeah, that was kind of a nice touch.
I thought that was something strictly for the Timverse animated shows, but I find that she's actually the daughter of Zatara, the magician from DC Comics.
Yeah.
That is actually really darn awesome.
Yeah, and also, this episode showed that Zatanna knew Bruce, but Bruce was going under a different alias when he was training to become Batman, which...
Yes. Oh my goodness.
That part I'm a little off about.
That'd be like the fact that he learned from Zatara seemingly back in the 70s. Honestly, if like we're taking these at face value here, like how old Bruce is, what the sliding time scale of these shows are. I mean, I do say that they had a very good relationship. It showed that, just like with Bruce and the martial arts episodes we've covered in previous episodes of this podcast, that he also learned as escaping from any trap. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure how he knew he'd be fighting supervillains who would trap him in stuff, but
you gotta prepare for everything.
Yeah, but it's a very nice sentiment nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I love the chemistry between him and Z. Like,
Z is amazing. Time. Like, honestly, if this incarnation of Zatanna is my favorite, another version I like is her in Young Justice, because
Definitely
that version of Zatanna is honestly really amazing. But here with this universe of DC shows, she is basically like, she shows the best what she can do with her magic.
Oh my goodness, I just looked it up. Zatanna in the show, she has a very bubbly personality. She's very likable. She's very giddy. I love the energy she gives, bouncing off Bruce's very low and monotone, scary voice.
Stuff.
She was played by Julie Brown, the singer-songwriter who was very much known for her work in the 1980s, where she would often play Valley Girl characters.
So is this version of Zatanna meant to be Valley Girl?
I would definitely say so, honestly. Taking a look at other stuff she did, she was on Happy Days for an episode. She was on Newhart. The Jeffersons, Quantum Leap. She was on an episode of Tiny Toon Adventures.
Really?
That's so freaking funny.
Fox Kids contracts, what are you going to do?
Yep, she was on a Aladdin animated series, Pinky and the Brain, Clueless, the animated series.
Wait, hang on. There's an animated series based on Clueless, the musical?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
No, it was the film of the same name.
Oh, good lord.
I do know, though, she was on an episode of Big Time Rush, which was awesome.
Oh my god. Yeah, if anyone grew up with Big Time Rush, you'd probably know.
Yep, she had a long history in television shows in the 80s and 90s. So if you watched those shows and you saw that, you know that this is just another long-winded line of her career, honestly.
Now, going to the nitty-gritty of this episode, it's honestly really interesting because we see magic, and there's also the bit of skepticism behind it. It's like, it's not everyone believes in magic, and they write out and say, it's like, your magic is a fraud. It's like, well, come on, everyone says that about magic.
Exactly, and then she proved me wrong. Just like I'm saying is how I'm very much a skeptic when it comes to things, which is funny because I'm a Catholic. I'm not supposed to second guess things. You know what I'm saying?
Me too.
But then, of course, believe it or not, the villain was very much clear from the very beginning. The guy who was skeptical of Zatanna's magic was the guy who stole the money, which framed her for the crime.
Wow, that's kind of pathetic.
Basically like saying, oh, I don't believe in magic, to throw it off so no one would think he was the bad guy. The guy who believes in magic, who does not believe in magic, would never use magic to commit crimes.
But he did. Talk about oxymoronic and hypocritical.
Yeah, definitely so. The first half of the episode is definitely better than the second half.
That is true, yes.
But it does have a decent enough ending. There's a big fight with Zatanna and Batman fighting the guy Montague Kane on an airship in the sky, using a combination of magic and real-life fighting techniques to defeat him and his henchmen and save the day.
Yeah, fun, right? Yeah, it could have been better.
Yeah, it could have been better in some areas. I really do wish that, Batman would have told Zatanna his identity. It would have shown him, finally open up to somebody after 54 episodes of this goddamn show.
I know.
But of course, then again, he doesn't really. He escapes into the night, and it's definitely showing that he and Zatanna are off on good terms because, of course, she still keeps in contact with him. It's like, boy, you let a figure like that walk away. You are definitely crazy.
Talking about Batman or Zatanna?
Batman. Like he let her walk away or poof away into a puff of smoke. It's like, damn.
It just reminds me of that. Reminds me of when she comes back later in Justice League Unlimited, and we have that whole confrontation.
Oh yeah, because she does make a reappearance, and it's honestly
is it the same
nice.
girl that voices her?
Let me do it.
I want to say yes because it's been the most majority with this universe of DC shows. Because there's a ton of DC shows that are really connected with just with Batman the Animated Series alone, and.
No, but it's not her. It's Jennifer Hale, I believe.
But Jennifer Hale's good too. Yes. Jennifer Hale, amazing voice actress.
Totally fun.
But going in, final thoughts here. I think this episode is interesting.
Yeah,
because I'm a lover of magic, and this is fun. But like you said, the second half of this episode could have been a little better because it's not that spectacular or anything like that. But
they spent so much time on the flashbacks. They should have spent more time making a compelling villain.
Yeah, but overall, I think this episode is a solid entry and kind of expands the universe a little bit by introducing another fabled DC hero in Zatanna. So overall, I have to rate it a little bit better than the last episode, but not by much. At best, I have to give Zatanna about maybe like an 8 out of 10.
Ooh, good right there. Now, you know me, I am all for continuity, and nearly at the end of the second season, Batman is part of such a wide universe of amazing heroes, characters, and side helpers of a supporting cast. The fact that they finally decided to take the leap and introduce another DC hero into the fold, it honestly shows that they were considering making more stories about other people in the massive amount of the DC universe. And as such, instead of having Zatanna be related to the teen characters as she is in now with DC material, like being in the New 52, she was connected to the lesser years, while Zatara was more around Batman's era. They actually made her and Bruce have a youthful connection. And I like that because there's so little people that Bruce connects with to begin with.
Yeah, there you go.
It's very nice to have something like that, to have very meaningful conversations with like-minded individuals, and this episode does a very good job of that, showing that Bruce would like to have further connections. He just doesn't know how, and it's just like, this man needs to just read more books and go out and talk to more people or something.
Yeah. Or do online dating.
Yeah, but of course this is the mid '90s. They didn't have none of that.
I know.
My dad could tell you all about what they did before the internet, but I'm pretty sure we don't need to be talking about that. The final fight between Montague was pretty creative enough.
Yeah.
It kept me going after the amazing start at the start of the episode, and of course Bruce and Zatanna's goodbye for now was very bittersweet with the thankful presence that we would be seeing her again. So I enjoyed episode 54 Zatanna very much so. I'd have to give it a very strong letter B ranking.
All right, another B, not bad.
Yep, now let us go into episode 55, the second to last episode of Batman the Animated Series, Season 2, The Mechanic.
Ooh, this is an interesting one.
Thanks to a freak accident during a high-speed chase, the Batmobile is virtually demolished. After Batman takes the car to his personal mechanic, Earl, this dude is named Earl. I find that so funny. The Penguin makes his move and tampers with the Batmobile, putting it under his control. And that's the whole story. Why does this sound so familiar?
Let's see. Batman Returns.
Yeah, basically they took a subplot from Batman Returns and made it into an episode, which I can definitely agree with because I think Batman Returns is a really good movie.
It is, yes.
I think it's a really good movie, but enough to make a 22-episode story about, because this episode asks the major question of, do we care how the Batman always stays in tip-top shape? Do we?
Well, sometimes.
I don't. I don't care at all how the Batmobile gets fixed. What? Because believe it or not, I always thought Alfred would fix it. Like, that's always the biggest, like, that was always what under my association with it. Like, Alfred is the most perfect butler. He's a getaway driver. He's a medic. He cooks and cleans. He's a perfect father stand-in and guardian figure. This man should be able to know how to fix a car and order some new things. But of course, we learned that Batman and Robin outsourced getting the car fixed to a man named Earl and his daughter. Which, of course, I did like the creativity of the situation.
It's creative, but...
Honestly, because I love how they showed that the version of the Batmobile we see in the show is not the original design, that they actually went with the bat on the front of the car.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking that was really nice. I did like that.
Yeah.
But, and of course, it's like, okay, so Batman does have somebody else who he shares his secret identity with, but this is Earl's only episode. We never go further beyond that. He never has any further communication with it because this episode is so one note and so ridiculous. I can't really enjoy it very much.
I think it's because Penguin's here.
No, it's really not that. I've come to the very hard realization that outside of a few stories that we've looked at now and that we'll look at on further episodes of the podcast, the Timverse version of the Penguin is definitely one of my least favorites. It really is a shame. The Penguin is a character that works much better in live action than he ever did in animation.
You got a point.
At least until maybe a couple years ago with some other DC shows. But of course, then again, until that point, it was never going to work in animation. It did get better over time, but starting here in 92, 93, no good for me, honestly.
Yeah, but this makes me ask the question. So the Batmobile can be damaged. I thought this was supposed to be some kind of indestructible car.
Yeah, basically, like, with the bullet-proof tires and everything, with the amazing versatility of its inner workings, we know nothing about cars.
Yeah, apparently not.
This episode is an episode for car lovers. And yes, I do appreciate the make and models of cars from way back in yesteryear, like, the 57 Chevy, the Thunderbird, all of those great, the Escalade models of the early 2000s. I love those. But of course, I could not really care less about the ins and outs of certain cars, you know what I'm saying? But of course, it was a decent enough episode as is. We learn a bit more about how Batman's operation runs, the Penguin and of course his goons get to a lot of shenanigans. I will say this though, the gag where the Penguin puts the dude onto a giant rubber duck and flushes him down a giant toilet. I think
oh yeah, I remember that.
That has got to be one of the biggest highlights of the episode, hands down. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's actually really funny.
Yep.
And another reference to Batman Returns because of the duck.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. I mean, I can't appreciate the love for one of the 90s best, probably one of the last good comic book movies before they went into the dark years, beginning with Batman Forever in 95.
Yeah. Ooh.
But of course, that's basically the whole gist of the episode. The Batmobile gets tampered with, the mechanic is taken hostage, Batman and Robin get into a bunch of shenanigans along the way, defeat Penguin, and all is well that ends well.
Yeah, Fast and the Batman, I guess?
Fast and the Batterus. Nah, that's terrible.
No, that doesn't work.
Oh, wait, the Bat and the Birdie. that could work.
I guess?
Because like the villain's a bird and Robin's in this episode.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So basically, I would say this episode is perfectly serviceable, if not a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah, it's at best okay. I mean, this car chase, like where the Batmobile's under control, it's not as fun or creative as the scene from Batman Returns, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, definitely not. This show has had definitely worser episodes before.
So how would you rate this one?
Would you like to start?
Well, if I'm being honest, like we said, this episode is at best okay. It's a bit one note, but you gotta have some one notes in there because all shows have that, right?
Yeah, we all got to have filler episodes every once in a while.
And Earl is an alright enough character, and his daughter is spunky. And is it weird? I feel like she kind of made a move on Robin almost.
Oh my God, there is simply no doubt about it.
Yeah, but it's just at best okay. And Penguin being there, it's fine, but. Yeah, it's gotten a little backwards from last time, so like Paige and the Crime Doctor, I gotta give the mechanic a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, personally enough, I would think that even though this episode is perfectly serviceable with how Batman handles his otherwise harder cases with, putting his car out, because Batman without the Batmobile is not really Batman.
Yeah, you're right. You got that right. He has a bike, a boat, a plane.
Yeah, he's got a lot of things.
Yeah.
Jetpacks. But of course, without a car, what is a man? Personally. I do think that the episode was perfectly serviceable as is, but then of course, in the very long run of things, we could have definitely gone without it longer the way we want it. So
that's fair.
I personally think that it was fine, but not the best thing in the world. Yeah. I'd happily give episode 55, The Mechanic, a solid C+ grade.
Alright, a C+, not bad.
Very much so. And now, without further ado, my friends, let us get into the long-awaited Season 2 finale of Batman the Animated Series, episode 56, Harley and Ivy.
Oh, yes. Finally a good one.
January 18th, 1993, the day that comic books forever were changed. And of course, who better to write this episode than Mr. Paul Dini himself?
Oh, yeah.
When the Joker fires Harley for her incompetence for like the 50 millionth time.
Hold on. So, 1, 2, yeah, well, that's a lot. Yikes.
She tries going on a crime spree all on her own, joining up with fellow feminine fatale Poison Ivy. And the two become Gotham's queens of crime, much to the Joker's eternal fury. That's basically the whole plot of the episode.
Basically, Joker does not want to get upstaged by a couple of girls.
No, by a girl. Personally, one girl is far too many for him. And, I loved this episode.
Yeah, this episode was fun.
So freaking much. The fact of the matter is, when another one of Joker's crimes goes, unfortunately, awry, and Harley makes him look bad in front of the goons by saying as how Harley gave him the wrong gun when fighting Batman. It was the bang flag gun, and she pointed this out, and the henchmen are laughing, and he gets really mad at her.
Well, he got embarrassed. Think about it. I get that too.
I love how he says that she should run things. And having us been played Batman Arkham Knight before, it's like, he had no idea how right he was. He would just take a couple decades, but she would eventually run her own things after a while.
And, well, yeah, it turned out fine. Speaking as Arkham Knight players, way Harley ran the thugs, it was interesting.
Interestingly lame. But
not that lame. Come on.
But of course, then again, Joker throws Harley out, which ultimately becomes a running gag of this show after a
this happens 2, 3 more times?
Yep, of course, Harley declares that she'll do her own crime scheme, and to be honest, she does a pretty darn good job of it.
I guess.
She goes into the museum. Of course, she rings the alarm, but she still gets what she came for.
The heck with this!
And then she gets it. But coincident of all coincidences, Poison Ivy is also stealing from the place as well.
Coincidence? I think not.
Which is hilariously funny. And wouldn't you know it, Renee Montoya is trying to chase them instead of Bullock. It's an all-women episode here, my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I would honestly say that the day Harley Quinn was created, comic books were no longer a man's hobby. As soon as that
there were
happened,
female villains before her, but not as great.
Yeah.
Or not as interesting.
Yeah, it's very much interestingly enough because like when you look at the three main villains of the three main female villains of Batman's Rogues Gallery, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. Catwoman was a villain for the Golden Age, a woman who would dress up in tight black spandex with a whip and a mask, chasing after men. These people just write themselves.
Yeah.
Poison Ivy was a villain for the Silver Age.
That's right. She did first appear sometime in the 60s.
Yeah, 1966, as a perfect representation of what men thought feminism was. Basically just women yapping about having problems, because people say, women got no problems, right?
They got as much problems as we do.
But of course, everything changed when Harley Quinn was created.
Oh, yeah.
A perfect female villainess for the 90s, the Bronze Age, whatever you say. And this pairing cemented it forever.
Yeah,
there was no changing
considering
it.
Now we live in a time where we have a mature Harley Quinn animated show where she is outright bisexual.
You know that things were definitely set for greatness later on. But of course, anyway, back to the story.
This episode was really fun.
Ivy and Harley escape the place, find out they have incredible chemistry, and decide to go on a big crime spree. I think that one of my favorite moments in the episode is when they get like tossed at by pigs in a car.
They stop at a light. These boys pull up and they like catcall them like crazy. I'm like, oh my
They basically
God.
do everything except like hump the steering wheel.
Were these like typical dudes from the 90s?
I'm pretty sure these are like typical dudes anywhere. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no offense, guys.
I love how Harley just pulls out a bazooka and blows up their car.
I'm surprised she didn't kill them.
I need a woman like that. That's exactly what.
Yeah, a literal bombshell.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, and then of course, we learned that without Harley, the Joker kind of falls apart, which I think is hilariously funny.
That scene with Joker falling apart, that was just really funny. It's like, where's Harley? You can't,
the boss, remember?
What?
So, she's always come back before. Oh, gee, guess she ain't seen the papers then.
What? Let me see that.
And he looks at it and
he sees Harley and he sees Harley and Ivy on the front page and he's like, what?
It's so
he like loses
amazing.
his mind, and I'm like, he's upstaged by a couple of women, but to be fair though, this is the Joker we're talking about, so
I would say no better writer in the 90s got Joker better than Paul Dini.
Yeah, some of Paul Dini's work when writing Joker, like, it's good.
It's fantastic. I would say is like, I would compare it to any writing of like the Joker. Like, I mean, of course, there's like Heath Ledger, but he's way up there.
Yeah,
but then,
the
of course,
skateboarding clown. But
yeah,
whatever.
because I would say animated Joker writing, they will never reach Paul Dini's Joker writing.
No, they almost did with the first two Arkham games because Paul Dini wrote the story for both of those, and it was close, but. These are teen violent video games and not 90s kids cartoons, so it's a little different.
Yep, Joker catches wind to what they're doing and decides to get his fair share of the pot, per se. And of course, we see the incredibly adorable dinner scenes between Harley and Ivy in the house. I mean, I would say, is this the first time we've seen Harley outside of her costume?
Give me a second. Let me think. It is, yes.
Yeah, we see that she's a blonde with blue eyes and puffy red lips and very fine hips. Let me tell you.
Wow.
I would say is like, wow, these two are really close. I am actually invested in what the villains are doing for a change.
Yeah, because Batman really takes a back seat again.
Because it's so honestly interesting of it, honestly.
Yeah. Now, of course, there is this one scene where Ivy has to give Harley a shot because of where they are, and there's toxic chemicals and radiation everywhere, so Harley would die in a couple of hours if she didn't get the shot.
Yep. But she makes the Joker's face out of her vegetable dinner, and that is so adorable. It's like, oh, it's cute. Domestic violence, but it's
and Harley even had the cojones to call him.
No. I know she called him up, which is what you don't do. I mean, this like, I love it how so clear cut because mind you, Harley is Paul Dini's brainchild. Like,
Pretty much,
basically,
yeah.
it's like everything that he did with her in this show would cement her forever. And I would basically says, like, I love how he got it so down-packed about what an actual abuse victim would do. Because, honestly, if you get an abuse victim out of a house, they're going to immediately run back to their abuser the first chance they get. And of course, that's exactly what she did.
It's a big issue.
She, of course, had to be sure, and of course, he had a police tracker with him. Because why wouldn't he have one of those?
Yeah. And, of course, Batman stops in and catches the women, and the way he busts in was actually kind of...
I love...
Evening, ladies.
I love how it's perfect. It's perfect.
I never thought Batman would do that, but... You know.
Ivy finds out she's calling and says, who is that? Wrong number. It's like, yo, this is wonderful.
You know what was funny? And then she was like, Batman? What?
Batman? Who? And it's like, he busts in and is like,
someone said my name?
And then, of course, I love what they do with him after that. Because,
yes.
like, okay, first of all, we should, like, comment that they're, like, inside of a toxic waste dump that was meant to be low-rent government housing. And the houses are structured like the age-old way that houses were structured back in the 40s through 60s. And I love how they managed to tie him down with used kitchen and home appliances. I love how the women tie him down with irons and fridges. It's just like, basically, this is what good feminism writing is. Not what they were doing with her in the 70s and 80s. This was it.
Yeah, this is how you do it.
And like, isn't this one of the moment when Batman makes like another one of those non-sexist remarks toward the female villains? Because
I want to say yes.
Because I'm like, oh, didn't like I know it. Man or woman, insanity is a something or other. Like, basically...
Insanity is a unisex term.
That's exactly what it is. Basically saying is how you don't have to be... Because being a woman has nothing to do with being crazy.
No, it doesn't.
Crazy has something to do with being crazy.
Yeah, like we say, crazy is crazy, insanity equals insanity, that whole thing.
Exactly. So basically they push him down into the toxic waters, which... That's basically one of the few bad moments of the episode.
Really?
How the heck does Batman survive going into toxic waters with no antidote?
Dude, it's
Don't
Batman.
Say he's Batman.
Everyone says that.
That does not clarify him of everything.
Maybe he has something in the suit.
That's basically the one bad part of the episode. When they go back inside, Joker and the guys are there, ready to take Harley and all the money they stole back. But I do like how she gets back at the guys. I hope you realize we're sitting on a toxic waste dump. You have about 10 minutes before the fumes do you in. What? They spit it all over themselves. And I just love how Joker just tells them to hold it in. That's fantastic. But of course, then again, it evolves into a big, massive thing where, of course, Batman gets out. The women escape in the car. Batman fights Joker and the goons. Joker fires at him, and one of my favorite Kevin Conroy lines of all time. Don't shoot, you maniac! We're sitting on a powder keg! And it's like immediately after that, the whole neighborhood explodes.
It's like a smash cut.
It's just like everything just happens and you have no time to stop because it just keeps going. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It just, and of course, the big bow on top when Ivy says that no man can take them prisoner. Renee Montoya stops them immediately after that.
Well, I'm not a man, am I? Oh crap.
Yes, girl.
Yeah,
yes.
that's how you do
don't
it.
need Bullock to be a great character.
Yeah.
And of course, we get to the end of the episode. Joker, Harley, and Ivy are back in Arkham. He says that the next time he starts a gang, no women. You hear me? No women! And I love Harley's final word. I think we can still work it out. It's like, girl, Harley. It's so true because that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah, you're listening from a couple of Gen Z people. If this was millennials or Gen X, this would be something different.
No. But I'm just saying, they do it very, very well. This episode was amazing.
Absolutely. If I had to rate it, this is honestly a really solid episode and a good way to end this season. So, at best, like, it's honestly one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. Because I love the friendship between Harley and Ivy. The fact that Joker is upstaged by two women and he wants to be on top, always classic. And of course, Batman taking a back seat is a nice change. And this is honestly, this is how you do it. Crime Doctor, this is how you do it, if you're listening.
Definitely.
But, yeah, so overall, I have to give Harley and Ivy a solid on the line, a 9 out of 10. Best episode so far.
Oh boy, now how would I do this episode? This episode very much speaks to the dawn of what would later be called the downside of the Joker's hold over everybody in Gotham. As soon as characters like Harley Quinn were created, you know that the status quo was going to be unworthingly shaken up for everything. It was shown earlier on in the show that Joker and Ivy had issues, and I love how not only Ivy is responsible for rescuing Harley, and this episode was the founding of that idea. And I love that in one of the more recent comic book showings of Ivy and Joker, I'm not too sure when the issue came out, but I read the panels on Twitter showing how Ivy destroys the Joker's confidence, actually bursts through his seemingly impenetrable fortress of a mind and makes him her bitch. And I love it. Basically saying is how the only reason Ivy has not killed the Joker is because it would destroy Harley, and she loves her too much for that.
That is a good girlfriend right there.
I love how Joker always tries to come back to saying, Batman always notices me. The people of Gotham will always notice me. Ivy just demolishes it, saying, Batman doesn't notice you. He cleans up your messes. That's what he is. He's not your friend. He's nothing.
He's basically your janitor.
Yeah, you're nothing. And it's like people like you try to convince people who have big hearts that you're something. But you are next to nothing, Joker. I love that this episode solidified stories like that to be made. A perfect example of what happens when abuse victims finally get put into a quote-unquote positive environment.
Yeah.
And we're speaking of the villainesses of Gotham.
Right.
I would have loved to see more stories like this, and I'm really glad we did in the Harley Quinn animated series on HBO Max. Please support season 3 next year.
Yep, season 3. I've seen the reel from DC Fandom. Season 3 looks promising.
I would not say this is one of my favorite episodes of the Batman animated series lineup, but it's definitely one that everybody should see and everybody can enjoy.
Yeah.
I'll happily give episode 56, the season 2 finale, Harley and Ivy, a B+ letter ranking.
All right, that's not bad.
Solid B+, almost an A, but not quite there. So now, let us begin the long-winded down into the second half of Batman the Animated Series, the television show, with the Season 3 premiere, a two-parter, in fact. Episodes 57 and episodes 58, Shadow of the Bat. Shall we?
All right, bring it.
Now, we will do part 1 and then move on to part 2, as we normally do with multi-part stories on this podcast. When Commissioner Gordon is framed for taking bribes from Rupert Thorne, his daughter Barbara pleads with Batman to show up at a rally being put on in the Commissioner's defense. But when Batman disappears after finding the person behind the frame-up, Barbara takes the law into her own hands as the one and only Batgirl.
Yeah, that's right.
So now we have the first half of this incredible story. Barbara was seen twice in previous stories, all the way going back to Heart of Steel and, what's the other one?
Isn't it something along...
I Am the Night.
That's it.
Showing that just like with Harvey Dent, they previously established Batman characters in order to make them into something so much better in later stories.
Yeah, and this two-parter solidified Barbara as a mainstay.
Yeah, definitely showing that she was going nowhere fast, that she was a woman not to be messed with, and that her father's life meant more to her than anything else in the entire world.
Yeah.
It like really does show though just how corrupt the police department can be when of course we're introduced to a dude who is seemingly working very good in the I I think it was the district attorney's office.
Has to be, yeah.
The temporary fill-in for Harvey Dent before they got the new mainstay later on in the series. And this guy seemed so genuine, but also you could tell immediately that he was involved badly somehow.
What was this guy's name?
I completely forgot. That's how uninteresting he was.
Let's just say Harvey Dent 2.0.
Harvey Dent 2.0. Basically, okay, so as you know, Commissioner Gordon is framed for taking bribes and thrown in prison for some reason, because I'm pretty sure bribes are a criminal offense.
Not always.
I mean, I would have thought that they would have just, took his job away, not just, throw him in jail.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, bribes are not that bad unless you're bribing a police officer. Otherwise,
it all depends on... Yeah. Gil Mason. That was his name.
Wow, what a name.
Yeah, basically saying, and of course you'll find out Batman does the detective work his way. Barbara pleads with Batman to help her save her dad. Batman doesn't want her involved because he thinks it's too dangerous. Batman decides to go undercover as Mr. Matches Malone. And I thought, that is such a 40s name.
Yes, it hurts.
It's it's so ridiculous, but I can't...
I think he's used it a couple times.
Because I just love it how people make fun of Clark Kent for putting on glasses and becoming a different person. Bruce Wayne puts on a mustache, and suddenly he's a different person.
Well, he's a master of disguise. That's where Clark Kent is not.
It's crazy. The inconsistencies always bug me. It's just
get used to it.
Yeah, I know. But of course, then again, I do love how Robin is so much more prevalent to the very first story we get into season 3.
That's right, yeah.
It shows that they really wanted to push for Lauren Lester's performance of Robin more and more as they went towards into the second half of the series.
That's right.
Showing that Batman has had the center stage for far too long. You got Robin here.
Yeah.
You might as well use him, right?
Yeah, of course. Robin's a valuable asset, so go for it.
We find out that through Robin and Alfred's detective work that Gil Mason ducked before the guns started firing at the rally. The rally is hit by some mobsters in a moving car. And of course, we see that it was recorded that Gil took cover before the firing started, which immediately showed that he was not what he seemed to be.
Yeah, either he knew what was going to happen or he constructed the whole thing.
Yep. The stuff gets even more going on forward when Barbara steals... Did she make her own Batman costume?
She did.
She did. Yeah. So Barbara makes her own Batman costume to appear at the defense rally in order to get her father free. Robin goes to see what's going on, and it's revealed that it's Barbara. It's he's oh, she is in way too deep over her head.
Yeah,
honestly,
but. If I'm being honest here, this makeshift Batgirl costume, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
But the one we got in season 4 was honestly a little better. Because it was a little closer to the comics.
Yeah.
But to be fair, though, the Batgirl costume from the comics was also a little... It's here and there and everywhere.
Yeah, because she has so many darn costumes. She has the amazing purple one from the 60s. She has the gray one here, which many people say is pretty good.
Yeah, there's the black and yellow one, which is in the New 52, and also was the prominent Batgirl suit from the Arkham games.
Yeah, so basically it all depends going down on your favorite Barbara or Batgirl thing. Because mind you, she's not the only Batgirl.
There was also Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown.
Yeah.
Huntress took up the mantle for a while.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, but only for one story, but Batman just dropped her after she was too violent.
Exactly. So basically now, as you guys get the mainstay of this story, Barbara is going to take up her own mantle as a crime fighter because Batman has gone missing after finding out who sent Gil Mason to frame Commissioner Gordon. Why, Two-Face, of course.
Of course.
Basically, Two-Face is back trying to get back at the police for of course allowing Rupert Thorne to take his life away. And can I just say how amazing it is that every time we see Two-Face's hideouts, they're always split down the middle.
Well, that's how he is.
I absolutely love that about it. That takes the extra care into all of this. We can't get into the second half without first grading the first half. So what do you think of part 1 of Shadow of the Bat?
It's a solid foundation, and I find this episode... I find it good because it establishes Barbara soon becoming Batgirl, which she's honestly one of the best female Bat-related Batman characters out there.
Definitely.
And she's popular enough with the fans, and it gets to show a wider audience, like girls involved. Like girls can be heroes too.
Yeah.
And this is a good solid start. It's just Gil Mason is
such a lame setup guy.
Not to mention forgettable.
Yeah, very, very forgettable. I had to look up his darn name to figure out who he was.
Yeah, that's your problem. But regardless, at best, Shadow of the Bat Part 1, it's a good start, but I feel like it's going to pay off better in the second half. So at best, I have to get Shadow of the Bat Part 1 around maybe like an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Very good, my friend. Now, seeing as how Barbara Gordon has always really been there for me as a comics character, ever since I could remember first seeing her played by Yvonne Craig on the 1960s Batman television show. What an incredible piece of television history, even though she was a relatively new character back in those days. Really, I'm pretty sure she had only just been introduced in the comics maybe about a year or so before.
About there, yeah.
They basically had nothing except for the fact that she was Commissioner Gordon's daughter and that she wanted to fight crime. She wanted to be a very positive, feminine influence for the readers of that because of course,
I'd say it worked.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Yvonne Craig was an angel, both off screen and on it. Always fighting for women's right to be leading people in stories. Yeah. Not only just side candy for men to grab onto, but of course it always did kind of irk me how at the beginning of the 1960s series, Adam West was originally against the idea of adding Batgirl to the series.
Really?
Yeah, because he was saying that this was his show, and if she's here, then he's going to get less screen time, he's going to get less money. Which of course, that was the thought of all actors back then. But of course, Barbara Gordon only gained popularity afterwards. Unfortunately, being involved in the Killing Joke incident of '88, right? Or was it '88 or '87?
'88. That book came out in '88. That story is honestly amazing.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, honestly. It's almost nearly flawless. Animated movie notwithstanding.
Yeah, we'll get to that one of these days.
That's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something interesting. But in the case of the Batman the Animated Series version of Barbara Gordon, I've always enjoyed her. I would not say that she was my favorite character at the beginning, but definitely the more screen time Barbara got in the more episodes going forward, after she became Batgirl into the way future, I would say that she definitely got a very strong start here. They couldn't have done a better job of providing her with the tools she needed to take her side alongside Bruce and Dick. So, at least for the first half of the story, before we get into part 2, I will give Shadow of the Bat Part 1 a B+ letter ranking.
Nice!
Very good intro to Batgirl.
Yeah.
Now let's do the very short synopsis of Shadow of the Bat Part 2. Robin discovers that Gil Mason is in league with the underworld and goes to investigate him. He encounters Batgirl along the way, and they go their separate ways to stop Mason. They then meet again to learn that Gil is working with Two-Face to take out Gordon, and have Batman as Matches Malone captured and presumably killed as well.
Yikes. So that's what happened when he disappeared.
Yep. So basically Batman is captured by Two-Face, who still thinks that he's Matches Malone and informant for the police. And of course, Robin has this banter with Barbara, which is technically their first real appearance together.
Yeah.
Where they really get to talk at the start of the episode. It shows that they have great chemistry bouncing off of each other. They challenge each other. And that's exactly what I love to see.
Yeah, and there's people out there who love that Dick and Barbara eventually become a couple, and they're great.
I don't.
What?
Honestly, I don't like Dick and Barbara together.
Really?
It's so...
Finally, we agree on something.
Yeah, finally we agree on
Yeah, because if I'm being honest here, I'm the minority with this. I honestly think Barbara Gordon works better with Tim Drake.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's I don't think she works with him either, though. I think that she should just date nobody. The fact that matters, she should just either find a non-superhero dude to date, or just don't date at all. Or woman, she can be whatever, I don't care.
No,
but
yeah,
of course...
but I think I know who you place Dick Grayson with more.
Definitely, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Starfire from the Teen Titans?
It's
pretty obvious.
Hands down. It's so good. We'll be talking a lot about that once we get to that show eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, they have their very nice banter. They go their separate ways. I love Dick being frustrated with her. It's
oh, yeah.
Was this how Bruce was when I was younger? It's I would have loved to have seen that.
That would have been something. You know what probably would make part 2 a little better? if there was like a flashback similar to this.
Yeah, basically it's like, the good old... Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure they had no room in the story for it, though.
Probably not.
Everything good was shoved into these last 22 minutes of the 44-minute story of Shadow of the Bat.
Yeah, because usually with these two-parters, the second part is known to see is a little bit better, but not by much.
I'm pretty sure this was also the episode where they get trapped in an underground subway filling with water, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah, basically it's like Robin and Batgirl go to save Batman, who is being captured by, or to technically Matches Malone being, like saved by, like, Two-Face. I'm pretty sure this is how it's going, folks. It's been it's been at least a spell since we've gotten this far into the television series.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen the coin flipping former DA.
Yeah, basically it's like they get out of the big subway. They like go and with Batgirl to go stop Two-Face from killing Gordon at the docks. With of course Mason revealing himself to be the bad guy, promising to be taken up because everybody loves Gil Mason. They'll like promote him, and Two-Face will of course have somebody on the police force or city hall or whatever. And but of
that
course,
goes south quick.
But of course, it has a very decent, if dare I say, good fight scene at the end with, of course, Batgirl getting her revenge against Gil Mason because her dad was trying to set him up with her at the very start of this story.
That is true, yeah.
And is like showing that she can be chained down by nobody.
Yeah.
Barbara Gordon takes nobody's shit. You know what I'm saying?
You got that right.
And of course, with Batman and Robin saving Gordon from Two-Face, it's always a fun time.
Absolutely.
It's always a good time. But then, right there, when they have a big boat chase at the end of the episode, Gil takes off Barbara's mask to reveal that she's Batgirl. But then I think he dies, honestly.
That's what I heard. That's what I remember.
Because, like, the boat catches fire. It's heading towards the Lady of Gotham. Barbara jumps out, and Gil doesn't, and the boat explodes, and we never hear what happens after that.
Why didn't he jump?
Yeah, I really don't know, honestly.
Too caught up in his own head and probably still reeling from the fact that the woman he was trying to date turned out to be a superhero?
Yeah, it's like, that would honestly scare me enough not to jump out of a burning boat, honestly.
It would still with me.
Yeah, I will definitely say, folks, if we're not giving enough information for you, please go watch the two-parter by yourself. It is a great time. Honestly, yeah. We're basically just summarizing a bunch of stuff because it does tend to blend together.
Yeah,
after
that's how we do it. But
we're basically giving you the major plot points afterwards.
Yeah.
After they get Commissioner Gordon's name cleared and back in, they talk about how great it is to have Batgirl in Gotham, even though they don't know who she is. There's a very nice tongue-in-cheek moment where, I mean, like, of course, Dick and Bruce don't know who Batgirl is, like they don't know that it's Barbara. Not yet.
No,
that'll be a plot point later on. They have a very nice tongue-in-cheek reference to the 1960s show where Bruce and Dick didn't know that Barbara was Batgirl there either. And I'm thinking it's like, so we're continuing on that train for like a little bit. Okay. This was a pretty good episode.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
So if I had to rate it, it's at least a little better than part one.
A little bit.
But not by much. Sure, it finishes up the story where you deal with Two-Face, or Two-Face kind of takes a back seat in the last few minutes.
Yeah.
And it just says the coup de grace to Gil Mason, who, again, is...
very forgettable.
Yeah.
But
as a really, a solid start to Barbara's new crime-fighting career in this cartoon universe, it's a good start. So, like part one, I have to give Shadow of the Bat part 2 an 8.5 out of 10.
Exactly. I would definitely say that finally having Batgirl as part of the ensemble for Batman the Animated Series was long since overdue. We're now past 2 seasons. We're finally in their 3rd. It was about time that we add some more reoccurring characters into the mix. I would definitely say that the mystery was very open and shut, but the mystique of what Barbara was going to do as Batgirl in this continuity very much kept my attention all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the plot to frame Gordon and put someone else in his place was a bit cliched, if not that.
Yeah, probably.
However, I did enjoy it just as much as I did with the first part of Shadow of the Bat. A great 2-part story all the way around, especially for fans finally looking to see a woman in spandex as opposed to a rich billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely have to give the same as Shadow of the Bat Part 1. Part 2 receives a B+ ranking from me.
Always a good one.
Indeed. So now let us go on to the next singular story of Season 3 of Batman the Animated Series, Blind as a Bat, episode 59.
This one's interesting.
Indeed. And of course, it was written by none other than Mr. Len Wein, going forward off of his writing as Moon of the Wolf, stuff like that. As we've mentioned in previous podcast episodes. He is a very great comic writer. I just don't think he's a very good TV writer.
Yeah,
honestly.
they don't always correlate.
No, they don't. But of course, let us just see the synopsis of this episode to see what we're dealing with. The Penguin steals an experimental helicopter from an air show, causing an explosion that temporarily blinds Bruce. Batman knows he won't be able to wait until his vision returns to track down the Penguin, and he must find a way to do so without the use of his eyes. So they took an age-old saying and literally made a story out of it. Batman is blind for the majority of this episode.
I feel like this episode was adapted from a comic story, was it?
No.
It wasn't?
No, it was...
Oh, no.
For once, Len Wein decided to do something that he hadn't originally done before, and it turns into this.
Let's just say this up front. This episode is not that great.
Well, it's not.
I mean, it's not awful.
No, but it is very open and shut. You know, Bruce is talking to the people at Wayne Enterprises for making a really awesome experimental helicopter.
I know.
Honestly. But of course, then you have to really wonder how really good are Bruce's scientists and what'd you say, engineers of some kind? I'm not sure what engineers make planes.
Aeronautics engineers.
Aeronautics engineers. You have to question those kinds of people when your helicopter can so easily be taken over by a short, stubby, fat man wearing a hat carrying an umbrella. It's like, really, man? I mean, now this big experimental military helicopter starts blowing things up. Batman does manage to stifle it a little bit, only to be blind in the process. But of course, Bruce Wayne will continue to fight crime even if he can't see.
Yeah, I mean, Batman got his back broken by Bane and managed to recover.
Yeah, so blindness does not stop Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like...
Yeah, are you sure you're not blind as a bat?
No, I'm fine.
But
okay,
anyway,
so basically Leslie tells him he can't do anything until his eyes heal. He says, "Frick that noise, I'm going to save the city." It's like he walks right into stuff all the time.
Yeah,
but then of course, he does find a very ingenious way to get around this. He actually hooks something into his cowl to give him bat-like eyes, which allows him to see via sound waves and
and in the episode, this device makes Batman's eyes look red.
Yeah,
which is. You think that was the inspiration for the Flashpoint Batman cowl? Because that one also had red eyes. It does
look like the Flashpoint cowl now that I'm thinking about it. But you know what? Even without it, it does show Bruce's ever-loving resolve for fighting crime. Even if he lost a leg, he would still find a way to fight crime.
Well, there was a DC video game where Batman lost an arm but still kept fighting.
But see, that's exactly what this episode shows. It shows... I think that's what Len Wein ultimately gets right about Batman. He's very goofy, he was very goofy, very old style in his way of writing through the decades. But he never once forgot that Batman never gives up, no matter what the challenge.
Despite us bashing on Len Wein sometimes, the way he writes Batman, he gives Batman a lot of tenacity and every other attitude.
Yeah.
That's honestly how we know The Dark Knight.
Exactly. It shows that no matter whatever the circumstances, Bruce Wayne will continue to do his job at protecting Gotham, whether it's fighting a werewolf or fighting his own eyesight. It doesn't matter. And of course, the rest of the episode is mostly Batman going around trying to not lose his barely functioning eyes while fighting Penguin and the experimental helicopter. Yeah. Of course, Penguin catches on very quickly, gets rid of Batman's eyesight, but of course, him being literally Batman, he stops him even though he can't see.
Well, he uses other senses because, as far as I know, with people who are legally blind, their other senses are heightened. This also makes sense, like the Marvel hero Daredevil. He's blind, but his senses are heightened a little bit. So blind people have a better hearing, better smelling. They basically have to enhance their other senses when they can't see. They have to feel certain things. This is why they read Braille. They have to hear better noises. They got to make sure they hear their surroundings. This is kind of the same thing here.
Yeah, honestly, but then again, I really don't think Batman and Daredevil can be put in the same room together, honestly.
No, but I have a feeling Daredevil could win a fight.
I really think...
But Batman could, because considering the fact that Daredevil has acute hearing and any sonic sounding device could disrupt them, and Batman has that, so...
Listen to us. this episode has so little story, we trailed off into Batman versus Daredevil.
Yeah. I mean, look, if this story was first a comic book story and then adapted into an episode, we probably would have cut it a little more slack.
But then again, this is like Lil Wayne being original, and there barely is anything there except Batman fighting the blindness. At the end of the episode, he gets his regular eyesight back, and the Penguin is brought to justice.
Status quo, as usual.
It like once again shows that Penguin is probably Gotham's most pathetic criminal. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually,
in this show at least.
Yeah, there are other pathetic Batman villains, but that's a whole other can of worms.
He definitely gets better in the final episodes of the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's probably where he's the best. Penguin was very okayish to decent for the first 3 seasons.
They were trying to make him like Danny DeVito, which you
can't.
Yeah,
because Danny DeVito is Danny DeVito.
Yeah, and considering how people glorify the dude, that's hard.
You know me. I'm pretty sure like he's probably one of my top 3 Penguins. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's true. The only other Penguin I love is Nolan North because come on, you can't go wrong with Nathan Drake voicing a little midget.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, so now that we've talked about Blind as a Bat, what little story there was of it of Batman fighting blindness and the Penguin in a helicopter, how would you rank Blind as a Bat?
Not that good.
Not that
good?
I
mean, to be fair though, it's not awful. Like, trust me, it's not like Underdwellers or Batman in My Basement.
Definitely not.
But it could have been way better. Like, have the blindness mean something.
Yeah, you could. Okay, take this. I know Batman is unresolving and whatnot. You could have a moment where he actually questions whether he can fight crime like this. I mean, possibly there may have been a scene in the episode where like, he may have considered giving up, but I just don't remember it. The way that I would have done it, though, Batman would have tried to fight crime, fail, he tries to give up, Batman and Leslie bring him back up, and he comes back better than ever. We don't just have constant action of near-blind Batman fighting the Penguin in the sky. That's stuff we've seen over and over and over again.
Yeah, because when you got a superhero cartoon that just had most action and not really story or inner character, it just rolls on and on and on, and you get the picture.
Pretty much, yeah. So how would you give the final ranking of Blind as a Bat?
Like I said, it's at best okay, but with a few tweaking, I feel like it would be a solid episode. So at best, I'll be nice to this episode and give it around like a 7 out of 10.
Dang, really? Yep. I mean, I would think that with just a little bit tweaking, like I said, with having Batman having a give up moment, after that, everything would have just flown right into place for me, at least a tiny bit better. This episode was never going to be a masterpiece, but I do applaud Len Wein for giving us at least a decent story. So I would have to give episode 59 of Batman the Animated Series Blind as a Bat a very solid C+ letter ranking.
That sounds fair.
C+, very fair. But now we must introduce yet another massively awesome villain for this version of Batman, the Demon's Quest 2-parter.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
And something that I was very not really known of until recently. Like this episode introduces Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins, or the Society of Shadows, as they called it.
Because you can't say assassins on TV. Yep. Well, not anymore anyway.
The Demon's Quest 2-parter was actually a direct adaptation of The Daughter of the Demon 2-parter and The Demon Lives from Batman number 232 and Batman number 244, created by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Were those stories also like the first real appearances of Ra's?
They were. Honestly, basically, this is a direct animated 45-minute adaptation of Ra's al Ghul's very first comic story, all the way back in 1971.
That's actually impressive.
And believe it or not, Denny O'Neil came back to write the story for this.
He created Ra's. He and Neil Adams worked together on this story. He knows how he created Ra's, so this should be fine.
Yep, he solely wrote part 1 of the story, but Len Wein helped to write the second part.
Oh, he helped to write the second part.
Yeah.
I thought it was solely the second part. I was like, oh,
so, well, I mean, it's like Denny O'Neil and Len came up with the story for the second part, but Len Wein fully wrote part 2.
Gotcha.
But of course, there was some help from Mr. O'Neil. So
let's get into it then.
Now let's get into the Demon's Quest Part 1, Episode 60. When Robin is mysteriously abducted from his college campus, Batman begins a fruitless search until he is astounded by the sudden appearance in the Batcave of Ra's al Ghul. Ra's quickly reveals that his daughter, Talia, has been abducted under similar circumstances to Robin's, suggesting that the same people are responsible. So begins an uneasy truce between Batman and and the Demon's Head.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Ra's al Ghul is actually an Arabic translation for the literal name is translated to the Demon's Head,
Which I actually didn't know before today. Which is honestly...
You didn't know that?
No, I mean, I thought
that's what you get for watching Watch Mojo.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel kind of bad because I thought that his name was like Asian and
Well,
heritage.
I mean, no, but it's Arabic. But
Got it.
Going past that, Ra's al Ghul is an interesting... He's one of the more interesting villains of Batman's Rogues Gallery.
He's definitely one of my favorite Batman villains.
Yeah, he's really cool. And, like, when I think of Ra's al Ghul, I think of a guy who is sort of like a bit of an eco-terrorist given his motive.
Oh yeah, somebody who very much thinks that they're doing the world a service by doing a heinous war crime. And I just think is like, he thinks that he's above the seemingly lesser beings of the past, being a relic of the past himself.
Yeah, because according to the comic lore, this guy was born nearly around 700 years ago.
Exactly. He is so old. Like, he manages to evade the test of time, evade the Grim Reaper. Ra's al Ghul is just so awesome.
I mean, there's a reason for that, but we'll get into it.
His design in this show is so interesting, too.
It's almost kind of like the comics in a way, like the way, mainly his hair, and his facial hair. Like, his outfit...
It's very cool, I think, with
I don't mind it, but
the green cape and the green business suit with those very white streaks across his head.
That's
and
true.
We can't forget one of the real heroes of all of Ra's al Ghul's stories, Ubu. We can't forget
he's interesting.
His helper.
I'm on and off with him. There are some incarnations of Ubu I like, others I don't. Him in this show
is probably my favorite.
I'm indifferent, if I'm being honest.
Because
I'm indifferent.
He's so funny because he every single time Batman tries to consider himself an equal to Ra's al Ghul, Ubu always punches his lights out and just always screams in his face. It is so this guy. Yeah,
he calls Batman a filthy American. I'm like, yikes.
Like, oh yeah, mid-90s, got it.
Yeah, but yeah. So with this whole story and finding Robin. Ra's is like Batman's best thing, and Ra's is one of the few villains that knows Batman's identity.
I know, he appears in the Batcave, which is why Batman is shell-shocked. No villain, main villain anyway, had ever found their way down here. Not even the Joker, which shows that this
one
guy...
day it'll happen, though.
One day.
Yeah.
This guy has some extraordinary resources, knowledge, which is why even though Batman doesn't fully trust him, he knows he's his only connection to finding Robin.
Yeah.
And coolly enough, this is one of the few first episodes, 60 episodes into the show, where we do go to other distant countries.
Yeah.
We did that with Day of the Samurai going to Japan.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was one of the first times. We
yeah,
went to that
and considering how that went, I have a feeling we got a good plan here. But
exactly. We go to all of those Arabian countries, all of those Asian countries, hyping up.
Yeah, because Aladdin was still big at this time.
Oh my God! Yeah, I love the beautiful animation of the Arabian skyline that is shown here. Whatever country they were in, though, do not quote us on this.
Yeah, right.
But I will say that they work very well off of each other. Batman uses his very brute knowledge to get the guys to talk on where the next clue is. It's a big globe-trotting adventure for the first half of the story.
And Ra's can also be kind of seen as a dark reflection of Bruce because he is also rich and has a lot, but uses his wealth for different reasons.
Yeah, what Ra's lacks in strength because of his age, he makes up for in wisdom and knowledge. And of course, as we've shown, knowledge is the ultimate enemy against strength.
That is true. Yes.
Because I love all these different philosophical things we talk about on this show. It's definitely one of the things that got me to this point, thinking we're going to be talking about these great villains and talking about all their different methodologies and ways of thinking. It just brings a wonderful beating to my soul. And I love how in the second half of part 1 we see Batman grow somewhat of respect for Ra's, and somehow Ra's feels very humbled by Batman's presence in it too.
Because as far as I know, Ra's is one of the few villains that Batman actually respects.
It's weirdly enough, yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I would honestly say that when we do get to the end, and of course we find out that this was all a test, Ra's was the one that kidnapped Robin from the very beginning to force Batman's hand. When, of course, Batman passes the test, he thinks he can go. But no, he says that he wants Batman to be his successor. He's lived 600, 700 years he's tired and just wants to die. But no, he wants Batman to marry his daughter Talia, who, let's face it, was much cooler in that one episode that she was in with Count Vertigo.
Yeah, she was the only good part about that.
Yeah, like she was awesome in that. She had that amazing black outfit with like the flowing hair and the guns.
Yeah.
This she's just wearing flowing outfits and just either like clings to her father or clings to Bruce. It's like,
and her hair parted is just.
I mean,
she looks like. Honestly, gamers, she looks like Rosalina.
Yeah, I mean, personally though,
Mario.
I have a very complicated relationship with Talia al Ghul.
Really?
Because like personally, it all depends on the incarnation, the universe in which the Batman character is taking place, to which I will like her presence or not.
That is true, because there are some versions of Talia that we both can agree are not the best, because
like she's in the Nolan trilogy, she's in Young Justice, the New 52 animated universe,
the Arkham movies,
the Arkham games, and this. Those are basically the 5 main hubs of where she is.
Unless we're forgetting something.
I don't think so. I mean, like...
You're right, but okay, but yeah. This version of Talia, she's okay.
She's fine. Like, I mean, she was, like, much better in her first appearance in Off Balance. She gets a little bit better in this series going forward, but she never reaches that high ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, Batman has the chance to basically rule the world with a beautiful woman by his side, and he chooses not to do it again.
Which is going to be a running theme.
But like, of course, I can definitely understand why he wouldn't do it this time, as opposed to not telling Zatanna the truth, because he knows Ra's is kind of a bad dude. He basically knew that, hey, he was the guy that stole the cannon at the end of Off Balance. This guy's clearly a bad guy. I need to wash my hands clean and just get Robin out. And of course, as the episode ends, we see that Ra's is dying. And we get the first introduction of Lazarus Pits.
Which is honestly one of the craziest scapegoats in DC lore.
You want to know what that is? That was clearly born out of something of a major cocaine high from the early 70s.
What?
So the people got exceptionally high and thought, wait, what if we can throw people into like little things of sludge when they're dying, and when they come out, they're like Jesus. It's like, bruh, Denny and Neil, I love you, but y'all were clearly
the Lazarus Pit.
No
matter what we say about Ra's, the Lazarus Pit whole thing, it's one of the stupidest ideas ever.
But weirdly enough, one of the most brilliant.
I guess, but the defect is the problem. Yeah, because they only work once.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, except from in this continuity, with like, we never really get the gist of how like the Lazarus Pit works.
True.
It's like they throw Ra's into the pit because he's de-aging. He comes out really crazy and is about to kill Talia and our heroes before the screen cuts to black. I really like the first part of the Demon's Quest.
Yeah, it's a nice, good establishment about Ra's al Ghul, because this is really his actual first appearance, and we get to see more of his character and how he becomes this wealthy socialite jerk.
Yeah, I mean, like, we finally get a really good insight into his character in this episode. We learned that he's not like the other villains that Batman has faced. He doesn't cackle, he doesn't scheme, he just is.
And he's not that insane either.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Till later.
That's a question, but whatever.
Not till later.
Yeah, but with all that said, at best, like, Demon's Quest, this first part is a solid start.
Yeah, definitely.
So at best, I have to give Demon's Quest Part 1 around maybe like an 8.5 out of 10.
Very good, my friend. I would definitely have to say this episode has gotten better for me with every single watch. I like originally thought that Ra's al Ghul was a boring villain to start out. Just a guy who talks a lot of big words in a silly suit, and he has all these ninjas and these pits and these plans.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't originally what I was interested in Batman for. Until, of course, I realized when I watched Batman Begins when I was 5, I'm thinking to myself, oh, so this is that guy. The guy who has a plan to annihilate a bunch of people in the hopes of saving the world. And I think that as a first real introduction to him in this universe, they did a very decent job showing the parallels between him and Batman, showing their strengths, their weaknesses, and their ultimate battle for dominance over not only the life of the people they love, but of the whole world as well. I will give the Demon's Quest Part 1 a letter B+ ranking.
A B+, not bad.
And now let us get into the second half of the Demon's Quest, shall we?
Bring it.
After freeing Talia from her father's clutches and escaping from an avalanche, Batman and Robin follow the only clue they have, the word Orpheus. After discovering that Orpheus is Ray's private satellite that will orbit over the Sahara Desert, the duo travel to the Demon's Desert stronghold. There, Batman learns that the satellite is actually a weapon which will explosively destroy all of the Lazarus pits across the world simultaneously, destroying all life on the planet at one single moment. So basically, he plans to just kill everything on the planet to save it.
Wait. Make Lazarus pits explode to do that?
Yeah, basically it's like the satellite will cause the Lazarus pits to explode and kill anything that all life on Earth.
What kind of explosive material is inside that Lazarus chemical?
I mean, like, mind you, if you throw a flame into any form of toxic thing, it's bound to explode. You do that enough with 20 across the whole planet, who knows what'll happen after that.
Makes sense.
So basically, the majority of this episode is Batman and Robin escaping from the avalanche, going to the Sahara Desert, which looks very beautiful in the
Absolutely,
animation,
yes.
by the way. Batman infiltrates the stronghold. He gets captured and has to fight Ra's to the death in order to literally save the world.
I'll say this, though. That plan is really convoluted and stupid.
I mean, it shows... was this the episode where Batman looks into Ra's eyes and says, "Oh, I understand it perfectly. You are quite literally out of your mind."
That's the one!
I love
that is one of the best lines I remember Batman saying. I was like, yes, man. Say that to Joker once.
Yeah, it's honestly though, Joker would kill, but only for a laugh. He would never exterminate all life on the planet.
No, because even he has limits.
Yeah, even he has limits. Ra's has no limits whatsoever. He's like, if I can't die, then nobody gets to live.
Yeah, hey, he even asked Batman, are you man enough to face your better? I'm thinking to myself, oh, crap.
I see my better every morning in the mirror.
Yeah.
So basically, the episode is honestly really intense.
Yeah.
Once we find out what's going on, we get away from a freaking avalanche of all things. We have amazing sword fighting. Batman sword fights.
Honestly, the best part about this episode is this duel, because it's amazing, it's chaotic, it's kinetic, it's fun.
We show that there's just so much stuff going on, so many feelings in the air, that literally it does quite feel like the end of the world. It shows that Ra's is a threat Batman thought he knew how to face until it came to the final plan.
It's like facing our threat, but then it turns out to be something bigger and you seem screwed.
Exactly. It's like Batman is handled with psychotic clowns, jealous birds, quirky, zany, egotistical maniacs in green suits, scarred faces both on the inside and out. But fighting a world-conquering mongrel, he's never done anything like that
before. Who would have thought?
And the fact of the matter is, he handles it so calmly, too.
Well, he's Batman. He's been through a lot of crap.
Yeah, that's true. And it really is sad when all is said and done. I did like the comedic nature of the exposition dialogue once Bruce and Dick get clear of the avalanche.
Oh, yeah.
They basically just start talking about the clues like, oh, this thing, yes, that means this thing. We have to go to this thing. It's like, okay, I'm starting to see the Len Wayne-isms in here.
A little bit, but hey, we've got to remember, this is, again, cartoon for kids, gotta be obvious sometimes.
Yeah, they fly the plane into the desert. Batman blends in to get to Ra's. Then, of course, Ra's divvies up his plan. Batman drops the ultimate line and then begins the amazing sword fight. Are they next to a volcano or a giant Lazarus pit?
I think... I don't know. I feel like it's either one of those.
Yeah.
Not a volcano. I think it has to be the Lazarus pit thing.
Right. Because, he gets, dropped into that. Basically, it's like... the amazing sword fight between them. The man who wins gets to either save the world or take its life. And I love that. A duel of the minds, the bodies, and the souls.
A real duel of fates, really.
Yeah.
And this was 6 years before the Duel of the Fates and the Phantom Menace?
Definitely, probably. So basically, and of course, as we all know, Batman wins out in the duel and seemingly defeats Ra's al Ghul forever, but we all know he's going to be back.
Yeah, Yeah, somehow.
The world is eventually saved once Batman deactivates the machines. He says goodbye to Talia in the desert, which it honestly is really sad because, he tells her, if your daddy wasn't crazy, I would definitely do it. It's just like, we've all been like that. We all been like that one chick that's so perfect for us until we find out just how crazy she is, and that we don't want.
Hey, there's a scale between hot and crazy. So if she's crazy, she's a certain amount of hot, and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely so. The goodbye between her and Batman in the desert is very bittersweet as Robin flies them back home. But of course, we know that Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head, does not give up so easily. So I loved this episode just for the fact that it pitted Batman against his seemingly most difficult opponent yet. Something that would undoubtedly be a monumental stepping stone for of course, his later adventures down the line.
Yeah, so with all that said, rating this episode, this was honestly a little bit better. I remember, actually, now that I think about it, this second part was a little bit better than I thought.
Definitely.
I found it a little better than the first part, even though the first part was still really good. But this is like a real set. This is like the real payoff here, and it shows that Batman is willing to go to a little extra to make sure that not only his city is safe, but the whole world is safe. That is a foundation for something bigger.
Oh, so true, so true.
Yeah. So with all that said, I have to give the Demon's Quest Part 2 around the same amount as Part 1, an 8.5 out of 10. What do you think, Mike?
Very, very good, my friend. I've always looked at Ra's al Ghul as Batman's ultimate challenge. While of course, the Joker is his ultimate domestic challenge, Ra's al Ghul is his ultimate worldwide challenge.
That's fitting.
Facing someone who has all of these resources, all of this knowledge, all of this strength, and all of the drive to see his apocalyptic view of the world seen. And it only gets all the more complicated as we go through the years with Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Batman wants to believe in his ultimate vision of a perfect world. But then you hear Ra's, and you see that it's the exact opposite of what Batman wants. You see Ra's al Ghul as someone who wants to save the world by killing it. Batman wants to save the world by protecting it. And that is why the ultimate showing, if Batman and Joker is the ultimate fighting of good against evil, Ra's al Ghul and Batman fighting is the ultimate battle of ideologies, showing that will humanity survive to live long enough to eventually evolve into something better, or will we go out in a puff of smoke from a satellite up above? So honestly, I can't wait for us to talk about future Ra's al Ghul stories.
Oh yeah.
But just like the first part of the Demon's Head two-parter, I'll give part 2 a B+ letter ranking.
All right, good one, dude.
Now we have about 4 more stories to cover today, beginning of course with another sequel story, His Silicon Soul, the sequel to the Heart of Steel two-parter, and the return of Hardak.
Oh boy.
Now, shall we? Bring it. When a Batman imposter appears in Gotham City, the real Batman deduces that Karl Rosum is somehow involved and confronts the inventor. The other Batman, a duplicate, then shows up and a battle between the two takes place. After the duplicate Batman escapes, it begins its campaign to recreate Hardak's goals of a robotic society.
Okay, this episode, I don't know what to think about this one.
Yeah, it's very difficult to talk about because of course it's already continuing an episode that wasn't really already great from the beginning, because like me, like I gave both parts of Heart of Steel a B, but I did like a few parts of this episode, not going to lie.
Me too.
Very much so.
I kind of see where this is coming from. Like, the fact Hardak is back and he's impersonating Batman, and Batman was his greatest challenge, I'm thinking to myself, that's actually not a bad idea in concept, but is it weird that I kind of want this episode to be another two-parter?
Yeah, it definitely
feels, because I feel like it was a bit... This episode was a bit squished for time.
Yeah, it felt like it was built too crammed together.
Yeah, I felt like there was a little crunch.
Too many bloated ideas for 22 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like if this was a two-parter, I think we both would have cut it a little more slack. But as it is, his Silicon Soul is not that bad.
No, the episode opens up with showing that eventually that Hardak was able to make a Batman duplicate before he was destroyed back in Season 2. And this version of this duplicate, as they are called, the duplicate robots. When Batman goes to talk to the inventor, he's living a nice, honest life. He doesn't do any robotics anymore, which good on him.
Yeah,
good on him,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
But then, of course, we have Batman and the Batman Hardak duplicate fighting it out. We learned that this duplicate seems to have a different motivation than the other duplicates. Basically, it was something else than copying Gordon or Bullock or Barbara or the inventor. This robot has seemingly copied Batman's ultimate mission. About the fact is how this robot seems to have a strong urge to want to do the right thing. He can't take a life. Which I'm thinking to myself, it's like, okay, his silicon soul, this robot has a conscience. Seeing as how he's imprinted with Batman's whole methodology and way of thinking, he can't take a life because his way of thinking is flawed. He's trying to fulfill Hardak's mission of replacing humanity with robots, but since he has Batman's mindset, he can't do that because it would involve taking a life, and he can't do that.
It's a little bit like Vision in the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Like in the MCU, we kind of saw that because he wasn't like Ultron. He was trying to be something better. And in an Avengers cartoon where we saw Vision, he said that Ultron created him to be perfect, and Ultron thought it was less human. But Vision wanted to be perfect, meaning more human. I think that's what Hardak was trying to do here, but it wasn't that executed properly. It's like you're going the right way, but the person you impersonated is the roadblock, and
exactly it's a living paradox, and I absolutely love that.
It seems a bit convoluted though.
A little bit, but I definitely would like to take the stance of copying AI to a physical presence. Some of my favorite characters in all of not only comic book media, but animated media, live action media, have since been robots, going all the way back to Star Wars with the droids. The series, the anime series RWBY has some very interesting robotic characters once we get to that show going forward.
Oh, that'll be fun to talk about.
And of course, Vision being the primary example of a robotic soul.
Right.
Showing that even though you are made of metal, it doesn't make you any less human. And the ultimate question of his silicon soul is, can a machine think for itself? And this...
Well, it's possible.
And this episode really showcased that in a massive way. Showing that the robotic Batman wanted nothing more than to give out his prime directive. But the soul in which was imprinted onto the circuitry is preventing that from happening. And Batman is constantly fighting for control. And the only way to gain the upper hand is to make the robot think that he has killed. Which is a very dark reflection of what might happen one day if Bruce Wayne does accidentally take a life.
That would be something to see.
Very, very, scary, honestly. This episode made me think questions I never thought before, and I'm pretty sure it'll make the viewers at home also think these very similar questions.
Yeah. Going into final thoughts here, this episode, again, it seemed a little crunch, but the ideas are there. There's a solid foundation, but
definitely.
My main thing is that if this episode was 2 parts, I feel like we would have something more, and it kind of would stand the test of time as one of the better episodes of this show.
Definitely so. Personally, I see this episode as taking an already decent idea and making it slightly better, even though it will never be a perfect idea.
Exactly.
Taking something like the concept of making something that is artificial, organic. It's really mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And, this episode really makes us think about what the next step of human evolution is going to be. What kind of machines will we look forward to tomorrow? And this episode was made nearly 30 years ago.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, this episode was a look at 30 years into the past, what they were scared of what the future was turning into. Then again, this is only our simple opinions. If you guys want to form your own, as we say here on Behind the Screens, go watch it for yourself.
Yeah,
but personally,
more power to you.
But personally, how would you rank the sequel to Heart of Steel, His Silicon Soul?
Well, going with all I said, and the fact that, again, this episode should have been 2 parts, and it's too crunch for time, but a solid concept, At best, I'd have to give his Silicon Soul around maybe like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say that it only barely makes my ranking as well. I've already said as much as I would really like to say about this. An excellent piece that could have been better, but was very great as is. I will happily give episode 62, his Silicon Soul, a solid B+ letter ranking.
All right, B+, not bad.
Very solid and good. Let us go on to our next episode, Fire from Olympus.
Oh boy.
Okay, here we go.
We probably might not spend a lot on this one.
Yep. Believing himself to be the reincarnation of the Greek god Zeus, Maxi Zeus steals an experimental weapon that the government developed. The madman desires to use the weapon against the people of Gotham City, and Batman must put a stop to Maxi's mad plan against the city he loves.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, Maxi Zeus has been a very not great character.
He's
going
a
over.
questionable Batman villain.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen instances on where he's enjoyable enough, but that is not this story.
Yeah, this
honestly.
was just... What are we dealing with here?
A guy who clearly has severe mental issues, but nobody around him takes notice enough to get him some damn medication.
Yeah, I mean, sure we have other insane idiots here. I mean, we deal with Joker.
Yeah.
He's crazy, but he's got reasons to be. Other people, they've got their reasons to be crazy. This guy? He just believes he's the incarnation of a Greek god. That's not crazy. That does not make you... That not only makes you crazy... That also makes you, like, what else does that make you? Clinically insane or something?
I'm honestly not too sure myself. Personally, they did mention in the story about how Maxi was under a lot of pressure to get his business up and running, and supposedly his mind cracked under the pressure of trying to deal with the business side of things.
I guess.
So you're telling me a dude's mind cracks, and he thinks he's a living god.
Because of that? Because of business? What?
This dude literally modeled his entire building after so many Greek myths like Hercules and the Hydra and the ramming bull, right?
Not to mention his building almost looks like Olympus.
It does. Like, what the hell? It looks like the freaking Pantheon. Or like the Parthenon or whatever Greek buildings are. I mean, it's like... I'm going to try to piece some sort of lesson or story out of this. Personally, Batman tries to overcome all of the Greek challenges, which shows that Batman is a modern-day Greek hero.
Yeah, like how they say that comic book heroes are like the modern mythology.
Indefinitely so. We see the very uninteresting interactions between Maxi and his assistant, who you can clearly tell is in love with him, which is probably why she hasn't had him committed yet.
Love can be blinding, but yikes.
Yeah, and of course the dude manages to steal a massive weapon that turns into a lightning gun that Zeus throws down onto the city. Dear God, this story's dumb.
It's dumb, it's stupid, but unlike a plot like, say, that April Fool's episode with Joker, this is just outright stupid.
I know. Okay, so he gets the lightning gun and starts zapping the entirety of the city every time he feels, I will not be ignored. It's like, dear God,
Are you trying to Tim Curry and ham this up? Because it ain't working.
This guy is so hammy. It takes everything out of the
I like
moment.
it when villains ham it up, but this is not the way to do it.
Now, see, this is probably why Tim Curry was not hired to be the Joker. He would have done too much of this, and nothing would have ever been the same.
That's
but then,
true,
of course,
yeah.
Batman tries to talk some sense into him. You obviously can't talk sense into someone who's clearly suffering from some kind of mental illness.
Yeah, where's the new straitjacket?
And basically, Batman is cost down. He finds his name is Maximilian Zeus. How creative. And of course, realizes that the only way to stop him from doing the crazy stuff with the lightning gun is to go through the challenges. He does the challenges. He beats up Maxi and saves the city. But then, of course, we are just left shaking our heads, the audience, thinking, why didn't you just have him committed before? Tell me, okay, if your friend turns the top of your house into a frickin' monument to Stonehenge, are you just going to go about your day thinking everything's fine?
Heck no!
No, you get that man some help. We only have 3 numbers you call on your phone. Punch in 911 and your problems are solved.
Yeah, but sure, it's going to be weird, but whatever.
But then, of course, the ending of this episode is weirdly enough, kind of great because
The only real good part of this episode.
because Maxie Zeus is obviously sent to Arkham Asylum.
Duh.
He is wheeled to his cell, and he thinks that Arkham is Mount Olympus because the fact of the matter is he connects the villains of Batman to the different gods. Like Loki is Joker, and Persephone is Ivy, I believe, and he's not wrong. He's absolutely
when you put it like
100%
that,
right.
I guess.
I thought that was genius. It's like, why couldn't you do more of this?
Okay, I'll give the episode that. That was actually genius, but the rest of it just...
You had so many other opportunities to make this really
This
awesome.
episode just... This is like one you could skip if you wanted to, but if you wanted to watch it for your own amusement or your own detriment, go right ahead.
One other thing, too. Maxie Zeus calls Batman Hades. And I'm thinking he thinks he's Hades because he's down there and he's scary. It's like...
yeah, that is not really how you do it. So,
This is
all
really
that
bad.
said, yeah, this episode's not that great.
No.
So, I'll be nice to it, though, and the whole clever writing thing at the end with comparing Batman's villains to gods,
Yeah.
it's funny and it's good.
Yeah.
But other than that, at best I have to give this episode like a 6.
Damn, really? Would you say it's like one of the worst episodes of the series so far?
Now that I think about it, yes!
Oh, man, I don't think it's that bad, honestly.
If you don't do all the insanity stuff, then you're fine, and it should be okay, but as it is, yikes.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most enjoyable episode of the entire Parthenon of stuff going on, but I do appreciate this episode's commitment to, basically being all about the Greek gods and the Greek legends, comparing the superhero side of things to that of Greek gods and whatnot. It's all very fine and good, believe it or not. You want to know which is actually weird, though? I actually just looked this up online for some fast facts to try and pad this section of the podcast out, because we needed one more thing to talk about this episode with. Maxie Zeus is all about impersonating Greek god mythology, right?
Yes.
Why is it that the gods he talks about are from the Roman pantheon?
Well,
He uses the Roman names of the gods, even though he's Zeus, which is Greek.
What?
It shows that even though they didn't do all the research needed to do the episode justice. We had libraries back then. You could have just gone and read a book, writers.
Yeah.
Seriously. So, as is, I will very, very, very nicely give this episode 63, Fire from Olympus, a C+ letter rank.
Wow.
And that is very generous. If this episode had been any lesser, I would have given it the C. But I have to give it a C+, folks. So now we have to go into our second to last episode for today. Episode 64, Read My Lips.
I don't remember this one.
Oh, this is a good one. This episode was actually written by a horror mystery crime writer and martial artist, Joe R. Lansdale. Let me see if I can look up any other things he's done. He's actually written a bunch of episodes for Batman the Animated Series, of course. A bunch of other stuff about historical figures, the film Christmas with the Dead. Very nice stuff. He's actually done a lot of stuff with, of course, and Mr. Greg Nicotero from The Amazing Awesomeness of The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that personally.
Yeah, if you cannot tell, Mike loves The Walking Dead.
I do very much so. Hopefully we can talk about the show on the podcast one day, but of course Chris has to watch it first.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Now let's get into episode 64, Read My Lips. A brand new gang has made its debut, committing the slickest crimes ever, thanks to the gang leader, Scarface. It's up to Batman to stop Scarface and his dummy, the ventriloquist.
Oh, this episode is a massive, vast improvement over the last one because it introduces an interesting Batman villain, Scarface and the ventriloquist, because this guy is nuts.
This guy is so interesting to watch because if this is your first introduction to the Batman mythos, you probably know next to nothing about the very obscureness villain, Arnold Wesker and the ventriloquist, a dummy and host duo. Arnold Wesker is basically a villain with multiple personality disorder.
Or as it's now correctly renamed as dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Because his dominant personality is sometimes the puppet, which is the craziest thing because the puppet isn't real.
I know. You got so freaking tied up in this when we were watching the
show. When we were watching this episode, we were arguing back and forth. I'm like, Scarface is not real. Wesker is the real crime here, not the puppet.
I know,
puppets.
But like I keep saying is how Scarface is technically Wesker as well. So technically,
I guess, yeah, but still, it's technically Wesker. That's the guy that's doing everything.
I know. We kept going back and forth about the logistics about what it means to have two personalities inside of one person's subconscious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But basically, I thought it was really neat that Batman was sidewinded by literally the most meekest criminal in all of Gotham City.
Wesker on his own without Scarface he's like a meek, weak dude.
Yeah, but like it really goes to show how when those two are together, they commit the most heinous of acts.
You got that right.
Thanks to Scarface, quote unquote, intelligence and Wesker's ability to control him, he's able to command these big buff dudes, including this one dude named Rhino.
Oh, Rhino's amazing.
He is so freaking
Not to be
hilarious.
confused with the Spider-Man villain. This guy is basically just a muscle-bound thug.
Yeah, but he believes in Scarface so much, and I love that so amazingly so.
Oh, yeah.
Batman is having his head turned around, trying to find who is responsible for the crime, coming across Wesker and Scarface, so sort of piecing the clues together about what exactly is going on, and exactly how he's able to defeat him, showing that the puppet is the dominant personality, while Wesker is the guy being lorded over and controlled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess, but I'm telling you, the puppet's not real.
I will say this, though. Scarface is probably one of the funniest villains outside of the Joker.
Yeah. Yes.
Always going on the stereotypical mobster, like saying, who you calling a dummy? This is like, I love that, dude. I so wish I could do that accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him, dummy, see?
Yeah, this is like at the time of this episode's release, this was like the peak of gangster and mobster movies, like the actual Scarface movie with Al Pacino,
yeah.
A couple other movies like Goodfellas, maybe Godfather,
Casino, which I'm not sure was out yet, Heat as well. That was also
Heat was a good one.
Yeah, I will say though, when this episode aired, Scarface, like a lot of the villains used in this show, were relatively new creations of DC.
Yeah, this guy was like made like what, early 80s?
Yeah, no,
mid 70s?
No, Scarface and Wesker were introduced in 1988, which means they were only created 5 to 6 years before this episode.
So it's relatively new. Okay, This is interesting.
And they actually did a very good job of it because it translated so well in the style and atmosphere and setting that the show takes place in.
I think it's only because of the popularity of the show that Ventriloquist and Scarface stayed in the comics for as long as they did.
With, of course, changing people outside of Arnold Wesker. Though.
Yeah, there was this one other chick, Peyton Riley, who was the who was the daughter of a gangster, and it was cool.
Yeah, she was cool, but she never really worked for me.
Yeah,
I will always stick with the classics.
Yeah, we always like to stick with Wesker being the actual ventriloquist.
Yeah, me too. And of course, we get to the end of the episode where Batman defeats the ventriloquist and Scarface by basically what is like put him into a wood chipper.
Yes.
Yeah, basically Scarface falls.
There's
into
like a
wood
movie.
chipper.
That's like a reference to a movie, I think.
It's like I love how even when the dummy is away from him, Wesker throws his voice. It's like, dude, you need some serious help.
Why do you think he's been put into Arkham?
Yeah, but then we cut to Wesker in the asylum. He's making a new Scarface.
Oh, boy.
It shows that even if you get rid of what's causing the dominant personality to exist, the dominant personality is still there.
Yeah.
Scarface is in here, and Wesker can't run away from what's in here.
Yeah.
I'm actually pointing to my head.
So with all that said, if I had to read my lips, this is honestly, thankfully, a vast improvement over last episode. This was really interesting and really delves into the psychology of it all.
It was comedic and intelligent.
Yeah, some of this stuff is really funny, and also it racks your brain. It makes you think, who is really in control here? But again, I still stand by what I say, not by what this dude says. But Scarface is a puppet. Wesker's the real dude here. He's the real villain here.
I'm saying Scarface is inside Wesker's mind.
Okay, maybe that, but still, Wesker is still sometimes the dominant personality, and it's just an advent ventriloquist with a dummy who has better personality. But that's how all ventriloquists work. They want to make their dummies look like real characters.
Of course.
I mean, look at Jeff Dunham. Okay, not like that, but
yeah, probably.
But all in all, I have to read my lips as an interesting episode. It delves into the psychology of it all, your dissociative identity disorder, the fact who's real, who's not, who's the real dummy, and how it racks your brain, and it's amazing, intense. So overall,
Definitely
I have
so.
to give Read My Lips an 8.5 out of 10.
This show is really excellent in having first impressions on villains. It's probably why the show is stuck so much in the pop culture mind all these years. Arnold Wesker in Scarface is very much a very incredibly decent B to C-list villain in like, my
Yeah, I'd
mind.
say C-list, if I'm being honest.
The intelligence of this villain, as well as the comedic side to how impractically dumb this idea is. This idea simply should not work. A ventriloquist who has a gangster dummy personality. It sounds so ridiculous, but it works so gosh darn well.
Yeah, you wish Wesker was a character created in the Silver Age, but no, he was created around the modern age of comics, like after Crisis in Infinite Earths, in '86. He was created 2 years later.
Definitely so. I would definitely say that this is an episode perfectly enough to showcase an accurate portrayal of dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
And the real damage that it could cause to people if it's not treated properly. So I will always appreciate Batman the Animated Series for giving credence and accurate representation of real-world issues in a very fantastic comic book-esque style.
Yeah.
So I'll have to give Scarface and Arnold Wesker's first appearance, episode 64, Read My Lips, a solid B+ letter ranking.
A B+, nice.
And now let us get to our last episode for the day, my friends. Episode 65, The Worry Men. Once again written by Paul Dini.
The Worry Men.
So let's hope we get into this good.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Wealthy socialite Veronica Vreeland returns from Central America. So that's where she's been all this time.
Huh.
She was down in Central America.
Go ahead.
Bringing tiny handmade dolls for all of her friends at a massive party. According to native legend, once placed under a pillow, the dolls do the sleepers' worrying for them, unknown to Veronica or her guests. Each of the dolls was made by the Mad Hatter and contains a tiny microchip which plants hypnotic suggestions inside the sleeper's brain.
That is crazy. And the fact that Paul Dini has written for the Mad Hatter before, right? Did he write Mad as a Hatter?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so it's interesting. And the fact that Mad Hatter went as far as to put his own hypnosis microchips into actual Central American dolls, it's a little weird.
I don't really think this is a good episode.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's not.
It's probably one of Paul Dini's weakest of all the episodes that he wrote for
to
the
be fair though,
series.
like the Worry Men, these Worry Men dolls, they're sort of like Central American versions of Dreamcatchers because Dreamcatchers are a Native American thing. I don't know how you call it, like a special tool that it's supposed to believe to prevent people from having bad dreams.
I actually think I own some of these Worry dolls. Not gonna lie, maybe not authentic dolls because I received these in Spanish class, but I've always kept.
Yeah,
them
some of
around
these Worry
for
dolls
those.
are often considered to be like voodoo dolls almost.
No, I really don't think that.
But I mean,
It's
that's
honestly-
the misconception though. They're not really voodoo dolls, but they're sort of like a doll that really like you have in the back of your mind.
So basically, let's piece together this story. Veronica comes back from Central America, determined to be a better person than she was in Birds of a Feather when she basically soured her relationship with the Penguin. However, I do like how she's trying to turn over a new leaf here, but then she inadvertently ends up causing them so much pain. But then again, this was not, at least it wasn't her fault this time.
No, it wasn't. It was just Jervis being Jervis.
Yeah.
But the fact he went to that length to even go as far as Central America to do that,
Yeah, when
it's
it's
clever in concept, but
when it's
yikes.
found out that the Mad Hatter traveled all the way to South America just to do this, it's like Jervis is really nuts. I mean, like the thing about it is,
he's
like,
insane. What do you think about?
I mean, Joker.
Remember his last appearance?
Joker would never leave the city to commit a crime.
Well,
honestly.
actually,
I mean, he would never go anywhere extracurricular to do anything extracurricular. I mean, like, the thing about it is, though, the way that the henchmen that the Mad Hatter has in this, because they're all wearing costumes from the costume place, he's turned into a hideout. Pretty sure the Native American attire of one of his henchmen is probably not going to age all that.
Probably not.
Definitely very strange, honestly.
Yeah.
We see that Bruce Wayne is given one of those. He puts it under his pillow, and he ends up robbing his own office, right?
Good lord. I do remember that now. It's like,
I'm thinking about it.
okay.
He may have been robbing his own office, or maybe it was somebody else robbing his office. But, actually, no. He goes in, he finds out some stuff is missing, and he doesn't remember. But then of course he sees, so these little dolls have like this microchip in them, and who does that? The Mad Hatter does that. So basically, it's all about Batman fighting the Mad Hatter and getting the rich people's money back. Once he finds out what's going on. He's captured by Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter spills his plans and wants to decapitate him, which is really dark. Just trying to cut this dude's head off.
Well, considering what happened last time, you'd expect a revenge like that, but...
Thankfully, Batman manages to free the henchmen from the control. They turn on the Mad Hatter. He's brought to justice, and everybody goes back to normal.
Yeah, but...
This episode really doesn't have a lot there once you find out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible, but...
No, it's just misguided. It's like Paul Dini trying to churn out a makeup story. It's almost like, okay, I'll do something very extracurricular for the Mad Hatter so they'll let me write more Joker and Harley stories.
I guess that's one way to do it. That's how showbiz works, but...
Yeah.
I feel like with a few tweaks and rewrites... I feel like if you kept it centralized towards Gotham and just to bring international stuff over and not have someone go to Central America to get the stuff, exactly. I feel like it probably would have been a little better. But you know,
of course, as is, it's like a very interesting thing. It's like, okay, so we have a very decent setup, a very decent middle, and a pretty good ending. So all things considered, Paul Dini is still a really good writer. It's just that sometimes his writing tends to slump, like in this one. There's really no decent themes except for be careful where you sleep. That's basically
one way to put it.
The only theme I want to give to this one. So how would you finalize your thoughts on the Worry Men?
If I had to sum it up in one word, it's decent at best. The concept is clever. It's just execution-wise, it could have been a little better.
Definitely.
So if I had to rate it like that, at best I have to give the Worry Men, I'll be nice and give it around maybe a 7.5 out of 10.
I got you. Being a massive Paul Dini fan nerd, I have to say I was looking forward to seeing this episode from him. But of course, it definitely turned out to be a bit more run-of-the-mill than I was used to with his stories. I always enjoy the Mad Hatter in this series, even though it's not to the best of my ability. He does get some very genuine moments in a bunch of stories. This one was sadly very forgettable, with him going all the way to Central America to plant the mole, collecting the money once the rich people hand it over to him. It's just very by the numbers and very much lesser of Paul Dini's work. But thankfully, friends, fear not. In future episodes of Behind the Screens, we'll be able to do all kinds of more Paul Dini love future on. So I'll have to give episode 69, not episode 69.
65.
But 65 of Batman the Animated Series with The Worry Men, a C+ letter ranking.
Not a bad way to end it, but... I gotta admit, these 13 episodes, there weren't that many standouts.
No.
The only standout was Harley and Ivy.
Harley and Ivy was definitely the top one of today's list.
But some of the others were good too. But
Zatanna was good.
Yeah, Demon's Quest, that was good.
Quest, Shadow of the Bat was good.
Oh, that was good. But then, of course, we had the suckers.
We had the suckers like Fire from Olympus. Technically, The Worry Men, Blind as a Bat. We definitely had a lot more shaken-ups here, folks. But don't worry. We are finally getting to the creme de la creme in the next future lines. In the next few months or so, as we begin to get through the rest of Season 3 and all of Season 4, you'll see why we personally think this show is one of the greatest, not only comic book animated series of all time, but one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah, but next week... it's time to pay another visit to the Mutant Institution.
Yes, we'll be doing another movie review, doing the second installment of Fox's X-Men film saga with 2003's Bryan Singer's movie X2 X-Men United from 2003.
That's right. But we'll see you until then. Until then, I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
And this has been Behind the Screens. Everyone have a great night. Thank you for listening, and take care.
Adios, my friends.